Sincerely yours, The Breakfast Club.
Can't stand tonight. Who do you love? Ow, no, sit.
The great outdoors, the fresh air, the smell of pine.
Take it in. Take it all in.
The warmth of the fire at night, the scenery porn, the art of bra removal, and not to mention the lack of good parking. As you probably guessed by now, this week we're taking a look at The Great Outdoors, a 1988 family comedy directed by Howard Deutch in his third collaboration with John Hughes after Pretty in Pink and Some Kind of Wonderful. Written and produced by Hughes, the film tells the story of two families spending their week-long vacation at a lake resort in the fictional town of Pichogan, Wisconsin. There's only one problem. One of the families wasn't invited.
Anybody home?
So, as the real tagline used by the film says, this is no holiday, this is war. Yes, this film is another in the long line of Hughes vacation comedies. In this movie, the two titans of comedy, Dan Aykroyd and John Candy, team up for the ultimate family vacation gone wrong. Chet's plans for a quiet vacation at the lakeside resort quickly take a turn when his obnoxious brother-in-law, Roman Craig, and his snooty family appear unannounced and ready to join in on a season of fun in the sun.
And the whole week you'll be here. Okay.
Unfortunately, the only thing these two in-laws have in common is their intense dislike for one another. Soon, it's brother-in-law against brother-in-law in an uproarious and hilarious fight to the finish. At least according to the back of the Blu-ray case. The film also includes another hallmark of Hughes, a post-credits scene, where three members of a foul-mouthed raccoon family return and talk in their language about Jody, the bald-headed bear. Of course, there are plenty of scenes that'll make you crack up before we reach that point. If you have a favorite, share it with us in the comments. And if you enjoy our shows, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and like this video. John Candy steps into his most relatable role as Chet Ripley, who just wants to spend some quality time with his wife and kids. This film would mark Candy's fourth collaboration with John Hughes, but would certainly not be his last. Dan Aykroyd co-stars as Roman Craig, Chet's smug, silver-tongued brother-in-law and supposed investment broker. Hughes' first choice for the role was Chevy Chase, and wanted to reunite Chase and Candy for another film after National Lampoon's Vacation, but Chase had already committed to Funny Farm, released in the same month of that year. Hughes briefly considered Bill Murray after Chase bailed, but Murray was on an acting hiatus and wouldn't return until Scrooged. It was then that Candy suggested Dan Aykroyd, whom he was a close friend of. While they had co-starred in several films together, such as Blues Brothers and Spielberg's 1941, this would be the only time the two actors would share top billing. Stephanie Faracy plays Connie, Chet's wife and older sister to Kate. You may recognize her as Max and Danny's mother, Jenny Dennison, from Hocus Pocus.
What are you supposed to be?
Madonna.
Connie's sister and Roman's wife, Kate, is played by Annette Bening in her feature debut, believe it or not. Chris Young stars as Buck Ripley, the eldest son of Chet and Connie. Whoa, Buck as in young Uncle Buck? I smell a prequel, people. Also, something worth mentioning is that the actor also produces projects like Disney Channel's The Proud Family movie. He's clearly a man of culture. Ian Giotti plays Benjamin Benny Ripley, the younger son and Buck's brother. Real-life twins Hillary and Rebecca Gordon play Kara and Mara Craig, the children of Roman and Kate. The only other screen credit for them is The Mosquito Coast, starring opposite Harrison Ford. Rounding out the rest of the cast is Lucy Deakins as Cammy, a local girl and waitress who Buck develops a crush on. Character actor Robert Prosky pops up as Wally, the owner of the cabin that the Ripleys and the Craigs stay in. Britt Leach appears as Reg, a man who has been struck by lightning 66 times, then 67 near the end of the film.
God, that's gotta hurt.
Nancy Linehan has a cameo as a waitress. You might recognize her from, well, pretty much everything. She's been in My Name is Earl, Everybody Loves Raymond, Malcolm in the Middle.
Try not to dwell on God standing over us with that giant shovel. Bye!
You name it. Bart the Bear as Jody, the bald-headed bear, the grizzly bear who lost her fur on top of her head during a previous encounter with Chet. Reportedly, the cast was super impressed with how well trained the bear was, and Bart even had a reputation with some directors he previously worked with, dubbing him the John Wayne of bears. That said, Deutch recalls Bart not always taking kindly to his notes, as Bart's trainers struggled to fit the bear with the bald headpiece that the film required. Deutch remembered that it took days to get the shot since Bart pawed it off every time they put it on him. If you want to see more of Bart, here he is at the 70th Academy Awards presenting the envelope for Best Sound Editing to Mike Myers. Fun fact, Bart the Bear's performance in 1988's The Bear received critical acclaim. So much so that there was apparently an Oscar nomination for Bart, but it was unable to move forward due to animal actors being precluded from receiving Academy Awards. But that's a story for Bart the Bear Revisited. As we mentioned, Howard Deutch teamed up with Hughes a third and final time to make this film. Hughes had intended to direct the film himself, but scheduling conflicts with She's Having a Baby did not allow it. When filming was set to commence, John Candy initially arrived to set with a big beard, figuring it would suit his character, who was a big outdoorsman. Fearing audiences would not recognize him or enjoy the look, the studio made him shave it prior to principal photography. That's too bad because John Candy could pull off a beard. While the film is set in Wisconsin,
around Lake Potawatomi, Minimac,
the film was actually shot on location in Bass Lake, California, a small resort town near the Sierra National Forest. Ducey's Bass Lake Lodge, a rustic 1940s resort, was featured as Wally and Juanita's Perks Pine Lodge. The Loon's Nest vacation cabin, built on the back lot at Universal Studios, was designed to match the style of Ducey's existing cabins. Sadly, the lakeside restaurant, Ducey's Bar and Grill, burned to the ground shortly after filming in June 1988 due to a gas fire. Fortunately, when the restaurant was rebuilt in 1991, the owners paid tribute by adorning it with posters and memorabilia from the film as a reminder of the original restaurant. And that scene where Chet tackles the old 96er at Paul Bunyan's cupboard, there's actually a restaurant in northern Wisconsin called Paul Bunyan's Cook Shanty, but the gigantic steak isn't on the menu. Sorry, folks.
Oh, God, no.
Even though Chet says they're in Clara County, Wisconsin,
The bald-headed killer bear of Clare County.
there's no actual county by that name. There's Eau Claire County in Wisconsin, and when writer B.J. Hollers of Volume 1 asked director Howard Deutch if that's where the film takes place, he could neither confirm nor deny it. However, he did remark that John Hughes had likely vacationed somewhere in Wisconsin since he had grown up in nearby Chicago. In the original script, Hughes had Roman's redemption come through a daring rescue of his twin girls who had caught a giant fish that towed them around the lake in a small rowboat. I guess the filmmakers never learned from Spielberg's troubles on the production of Jaws because they built a mechanical fish for the film, but when it would not work properly, the script was rewritten around the legend of the bald-headed bear and the chase sequence in the third act. Even though the setting obviously takes place in the summer, the film was shot in the fall of 1987 over 3 weeks. The filmmakers hired professional greensman Dennis Benda to spread redwood bark for Bart the Bear to walk on and wired leaves on trees to mimic the appearance of a summer season. Similar to a lot of Hughes productions, there's a ton of material left on the cutting room floor. Chet talking affectionately to a mounted moose head.
You remember me, Chet Ripley?
How you doing?
Roman uttering an unearthly belch at the dinner table. And Roman with his annoying laugh in another scene. You can find this footage in the film's original theatrical trailer. And who knows? With Planes, Trains, and Automobiles getting a 4K release in the near future with the additional lost scenes included, maybe there's hope for The Great Outdoors to receive the same treatment. The poster used in marketing was actually designed to look like the cover of a British publication called The Great Outdoors, and, I'm guessing, partly inspired by John Hughes' time working with the National Lampoon magazine. There's also an alternate poster for European territories that display the same image of Roman and Chet, but the grizzly bear is the one holding Chet up by the scruff of his neck rather than a fishing rod. The film was released into theaters on June 17, 1988, and opened to $6.1 million. It was a modest commercial success, grossing $43 million worldwide against a $24 million budget. The lower than expected box office haul may have been the result of mixed reviews and a failure to click with audiences. However, once it hit home video, it garnered a massive following and has since become one of the most popular summer vacation movies. The film was also shot under the working title Big Country, but was changed to avoid confusion with Tom Hanks' Big, which was due to come out around the same time. Some of the criticism seems rather harsh.
This movie is lame and dumb and slow and no good.
Look, it's certainly not the finest film any of these filmmakers ever made, but it's wonderful escapism and a great time at the movies. While the film doesn't boast quite as awesome of a soundtrack as other Hughes productions, it still has a rockin' one featuring tracks like the aforementioned Land of a Thousand Dances, Yakety Yak by the Coasters, and quite a few songs by the Elwood Blues Revue, as in Dan Aykroyd's character in Blues Brothers. Before The Great Outdoors hit theaters, Aykroyd, Candy, and Chris Young portrayed their roles during the end credits of Hughes' previous film, She's Having a Baby. They're among the people who pitched potential names for the baby boy of Jake and Christy.
Names for a boy. Well, my wife's always been partial to Bor. Or you could go, silly and call him, Skippy.
There's been talk of a reboot starring Kevin Hart and produced by Michael DeLuca, the current CEO of Warner Brothers. However, the project has been in development hell ever since Universal announced it back in April 2017. Wonder which one we'll get first? The Great Outdoors remake starring Kevin Hart, or the Planes, Trains, and Automobiles remake starring Kevin Hart and Will Smith? More recently, in November 2021, Aykroyd told in an interview with The Hollywood Reporter that he was working on a sequel with Howard Deutch called The Great Outlaws. The proposed follow-up would bring back Roman as a Ponzi scheme guy who victimizes a federal agent. In that same interview, Aykroyd also mentioned that he was looking for the Candy figure to cast in the film. Dan, if you're watching this, my vote is for Pedro Pascal. Guy's got the comedic chops to back it up, and chemistry with pretty much anyone, and can even hold his own against Nick Cage.
You should go, and I'll stay here. I love that plan. I do. But you are a faster runner than me. I saw how fast you were in National Treasure. No, that'd be the stunt department. Not according to the making of featurette.
While the pairing of Dan Aykroyd and John Candy is amusing, a similar dynamic is accomplished much better in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles with Steve Martin as the straight man. Not that Candy isn't good at playing it more straight, but Dan Aykroyd is more Cousin Eddie than Candy's Del Griffith. However, it's still a breeze to watch thanks to the banter between these two comedy legends.
How about the gourmet here? You know what he wanted? Hot dogs.
Okay.
You know what they make those things out of, huh, Chet? You know? Lips and assholes.
And a very lean 90-minute running time. Plus, John Candy could pretty much elevate even the most mediocre of scripts.
I was just trying to have some fun. Oh, God. So I made the fangs a little bigger. Jeez.
I'm not saying that there aren't better films in Hughes' catalog, but The Great Outdoors is certainly one of the more underrated ones. It may not live up to the hilarity that National Lampoon's Vacation unleashes, but does it really need to? Not every movie needs to outdo the one that came before it. Although I will be the first to admit, it does feel a few outdoorsy gags shy of being a truly great classic. But at the end of the day, it's just nice to spend quality time with family and friends. And it sure beats watching She's Having a Baby. Not even Kevin Bacon could save that movie. And on that note, I award The Great Outdoors 3 bald-headed bears out of 5. As always, thanks for watching.